Hi, good day, and welcome to Rico Anime Recaps. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
George Glumman's father, the president of Glumman Pharmaceuticals, is speaking to his secretary. He tells him that as of the 10th of next month, he will no longer be president of the company. The secretary mentions the Desmond Group, but the president cuts him off and tells him that the company was in dire straits financially, and he's not sure how he'll tell his son that the company will cease to exist in a month. A month later, the students of Eden Academy are cleaning the school grounds. Becky Black Bell comments to Anu Forger how calm things are now that midterms are over. Onya says that Lloyd Forger is probably more relaxed since she dodged getting it to Nitrous Bolt, which makes Becky ask whether he's stripped or gets angry. Onya tells her he's a monster, and Becky sympathizes with having parents with high expectations, but also finds the idea of Monster Lloyd kind of hot. Their conversation is interrupted, however, by Damien Desmond, who does a move he calls a Desmond-style rolling sweep, which flings a bunch of dirt into Onya and Becky's faces, causing them to cough. Emil Elman and Ewan Egeberg both compliment Damien on his cleaning skills. A bunch of other students also surround him and shower him with compliments, and ask about having a study group with him. Before the next exam, Becky annoyedly looks at Damien and complains about how obnoxious he is, but Anna instead says that she wants to go to Damien's study group as well. Becky pauses for a moment, then comments that she forgot Anya had a thing for Damien, which makes Anya wonder what this thing is. As they're talking, Anya overhears the thoughts of George saying how he'll never forgive you. While looking at Damien, George gives Damien the dustpan. Onya asks Becky who that is, and Becky tells her it's George from their class. George questions how Damien was able to get a Stella star, despite having had his butler hire a spy to change Damien's test scores to make him fail. Onya is shocked to learn that the person who hired Daybreak was one of her classmates. Becky asks Anya if she likes Damien, but Anya ignores the question and tells Becky she wants to know more about George. Becky is shocked, believing that Anya will just fall for any guy, and tells her that she should stay away from George because of how gloomy he is. George pulls himself together and tells himself that he can still get Damien expelled. He pulls out a cigarette, but from his jacket, and pretends to pick it up from the ground by Damien. He accuses Damien of smoking and calls a teacher over to get him in trouble. Damien grabs George's shoulder and tells him to stop. But George throws himself to the ground to make it look like Damien attacked him. The teacher comes over and asks what happened. George explains to the teacher that he found a cigarette, but on the ground, and after calling a teacher over, Damien punched him. The teacher asks if this is true and asks Damien for an explanation if it is. Emil and Yuan insist that it's a lie, but the teacher doesn't trust them because he knows how close they are to Damien. Anya then comes to Damien's defense and tells the teacher what really happened. The teacher, feeling a little scared of Onya, leads and tells the students not to call him over for nonsense again. Damien blushes and Becky squeals, believing this was some romantic moment between Onya and Damien. Becky tells Anya that Damien probably knows exactly how she feels now, but Anya is still confused. Damien and George both question Anya on why they helped Damien. Damien then turns and asks George why he's trying to get him in trouble, and he tells Damien that his whole life is over. George tells them that as of today, his company is bankrupt, and Damien asks what that has to do with him. George tells him that it was Damien's family's company that drove his father's company out of business, and Ewan tells them he recalls seeing on the news something regarding the Desmond Group and Glumman Pharmaceuticals. George believed that if Damien had gotten expelled, his family would be too distracted to mess with Glumman Pharmaceuticals. Damien yells of him, telling him that there was no way his father's company drove the Glumman's company out of business, and Becky agrees, saying George went too far. George concedes, but tells them that it doesn't make the fact that he'll have to leave school any better. Damien questions this, and George tells him that his family will be out on the street tomorrow. George tells Damien that he envies him as Damien and his family are nothing like the trash he is. Emil and Ewan tell George that Damien's family has nothing to do with his success and that he earned his Stella star. George bursts into tears and cries about how he wanted to spend springtime at school and then starts picking up trash. While calling himself trash, Damien offers George a juice, which at first George glares at him for doing, but then accepts the offer. After finishing the juice, he tells them he never got to order the deluxe caviar bowl at the cafeteria, and he'll regret leaving school without having eaten it. After Damien gets George the bowl, George comments that he always wanted to know what it feels like to wear a Stella star. So Damien lets him wear his Stella star. George is about to give another request, but Emil stops him and tells him he's pushing his luck, which leads George to start talking about how sad his life is going to be from now on. Anya tries to cheer him up by telling him it'll be okay and that Weasley's is a peaceful country. George is shocked by how little Anev knows of Weasley's geopolitical situation, but also is happy about all his classmates being so nice to him. George bursts into tears and asks for one last thing to sing the school chorus together with them. Becky is the first to start singing, and then eventually everyone from Cecile Hall except Onia starts singing the chorus together. After they finish, Damien gives George his favorite set of stationery. After that, several other students start giving gifts to George. The students wish George a farewell and tell him that he'll always be a part of Cecile Hall. After getting home, Onia tells Lloyd and Forger about George and what happened today. Lloyd wonders though how Glumman Pharmaceuticals being bought out is the same as them going bankrupt. After George arrives home, his father tells him that the Desmond groups saved their company. But that also meant he would no longer be president of the company. George asks if that means he can still go to school, to which his father tells him of course and asks if he did his homework. After coming to school the next day, Becky tells him he'll have to return everything. Damien tells him he'll have to pay for the juice and Onia pats his shoulder. Lloyd wakes Onia up early for school, but she goes back to sleep right after Onia ends up oversleeping and she rushes to get ready. Lloyd tells her that if she is late or forgets something, she will get punished and reminds her about getting Taunterous bolts. Anya makes it in time for her bus, and Lloyd leaves for work afterward. As Yor has her shift at noon, she stays at home to do housework. Yor passes by Anya's room and sees her PE uniform still on her desk. Yor realizes Onia forgot this and imagines her getting expelled from Eden Academy and becoming a delinquent. Wanting to avoid this, Yor decides to bring the PE clothes to Onia, putting them in a bag. Yor rushes outside, then wonders which way is faster to the school. While she wonders what to do, a flower pot falls down a window. Yor spots this and kicks it back to where it was. Then she sees an empty alleyway and decides to get to the school view. Parkour Yor arrives at Eden and wonders where to find Anu's class. After remembering Lloyd's warning, Yor realizes she must keep this a secret and decides to look for Anu herself. Suddenly, some students walk by and Yor quickly jumps to the school walls and scales them. Meanwhile, in a classroom too, students discuss a rumor of a mysterious Spider-Woman climbing their walls. As one of the boys dismisses it, he sees the ghastly image of Yor at their window looking for Anya and he shrieks in terror. Yor realizes it is not a good idea to stand out, so she jumps down and paces around the school grounds, wondering what she could do to find Onia. She proposes disguising herself as a teacher, but she changes her mind after imagining herself getting overrun by students asking for help with homework. Yor passes by the school farm and the animals from the entrance exam. The head cow recognizes Yor and bows to her. However, it accidentally steps on the tail of a pig, which causes a chain reaction of chaos within the animals. While Yor runs away from the scene, Lloyd spots her from the school rooftops. He initially assumes that Yor knew he was faking going to work and had followed him, but notices the bag she is holding. Yor eventually finds Anya and gives her the PE uniform, but to her shock, Anya tells her that she does not have PE today. As Yor leaves the school, Lloyd catches up with her. Yor is surprised to see him here, and he makes an excuse that he just made a house call to a home care patient, then asks what Yor is doing here. She explains how Onia forgot her things and Lloyd thanks her. However, Yor laments not being of any help to Onia and not figuring out her schedule, calling herself a failure as a mother. Lloyd denies this. Worried that this will jeopardize his mission, he invites you for lunch. Before he goes to work, which she happily accepts, and this brings the anime to an end.
Thanks for watching Rico Anime Recaps. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you can get more videos like this.